to pick up that point that Roger Grave just made about cultural attitudes, how they may have changed or not completely changed here in Britain. Let's talk to poet Benjamin Zephaniah, who has been a long-time campaigner on behalf of the Stephen Lawrence family. How much do you think attitudes have changed? How much do you think the verdicts today are reflective of a wider maturing, perhaps, of British society?
Well, I think society and the system of law are two slightly different things. I mean, the law has been kind of brought here kicking and screaming to a certain extent. Doreen said it herself when she came out to the court that, you know, she cannot celebrate today. I mean, there's been a certain amount of justice done, but her son hasn't been brought back, and it's taken 18 years to reach this place. I think a lot of people in the black community will be thinking the same. Yes, justice has been done to a certain extent, but look what it took to get justice done. I mean, the average British black person is also the average British taxpayer, and we expect the police force to work for us like it works for everybody else.
It really has been a lot about the determination of Doreen and Neville Lawrence, hasn't it, against the odds and against what seemed to be an indifferent, at least, establishment at times.
The truth is, and a lot of people don't like to hear this truth, that there were a few racist killings around that time, and certainly other racist attacks, that kind of went almost unnoticed. The thing with Stephen, or I should say Doreen and Neville, was that they were so steadfast, so tenacious, so dignified, that they went beyond the black community and the anti-racist campaigners. They touched the heart and minds and souls of Mr. and Mrs. Average Britain. People sitting in their dining rooms watching the news looked and said, that could be me, look at that woman. Isn't she a great role model in terms of being tenacious and really having a sense of purpose, knowing that she wants to get justice for her son, and the importance it would have in the wider community, and recognising that importance.
So do you think these verdicts today shouldn't be seen as just about black justice, justice for the black community? They should be seen as a statement to Britain as a whole?
Definitely. I mean, the history and the future of black people is not just important to black people, it's important for the whole way that Britain is going. We are, whether we like it or not, and I like it actually, a multicultural society. And a police, I don't really like the idea of a police force, I like the idea of a police service that we pay for, that serves all of us equally. And make no bones about it, Stephen Lawrence happened to be a black man, but in certain circumstances, in certain parts of this country, similar things could happen to a white guy. That's not impossible. Some people may say that's a bold claim, but it's not impossible. And if it happened to a white person, I too would be campaigning for that family, because justice is justice.
One more thought. As I've been reporting on this trial, a lot of interest has come from teenagers, people in their 20s, people who would have been very, very young when Stephen was killed. Also wanting to see in their eyes justice done. There's that sense of the agenda has changed so much over the years.
This story just goes to the hearts of so many people, and when the history of our country is written, it's going to be it's going to play a big part in it, and today also is going to play a big part in it. There are so many reasons why we can look to the Stephen Lawrence case, in terms of policing, in terms of racist thugs on the street, in terms of how we work together as a society, in terms of simply what happens when young people walk home. The reason why a lot of young people can identify with it, because they go out to clubs and pubs or whatever, and they walk home at night, a lot of them, and they have to wait for buses, and they miss the late night bus and things like that. But this could happen to them, so of course they are going to identify with somebody like Stephen, because they know it's a thing that all young people do. They walk home at night, they miss the last bus, they get a bit lost, they hang out a bit, they don't expect to die.
Benjamin Zephaniah, thank you very much for joining us on the BBC News. Thank you. We have been hearing a lot of reaction to these murder verdicts today. I should just remind you that sentencing for Gary Dobson and David Norris takes place at 11:30 tomorrow morning. That sentencing will come from the judge, Mr. Justice Tracy, who's presided over this trial since mid-November in Court 16 of the Old Bailey. We will be here to take you through that sentencing, to hear how many years inside Gary Dobson and David Norris are given. There has been a lot of talk about